Good afternoon. Welcome once again to Blakey's Bootroom here on Wales Online. Nathan and Phil in the studio to discuss last night's latest defeat for Cardiff City against Derby County. Plunged back into the relegation zone. A pretty awful night all round. Fans booing at the end. I suppose something we're becoming used to. Where to start, Phil? It was the low point of the season so far.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there weren't many fans up at Preston, so probably the scale of that defeat maybe went a little bit not under the radar, obviously, but I think a performance like that at home, one that we've seen already 3 times this season, where not a great deal in the first half, and then they just haven't got going in the second half and have been picked off, really. Picked off by a team whose manager's been suspended a few hours before kick-off, a team in the relegation zone, haven't scored more than once all season up until last night. And to be honest, the first 20-30 minutes, I think it was pretty obvious that Derby were there for the taking. Passes just going out of play for no reason whatsoever, and you just thought, yeah, this is a team there for the taking. Cardiff just never, ever looked like they'd be able to do it. Not at any point. As soon as Lambert went off, there was absolutely nothing other than Sean Morrison at set pieces, basically.
Me and Phil were chatting this morning, Nathan. The whole thing kind of summed up by the fact that when a 34-year-old goes off injured after 12 minutes and you kind of feel, well, that's the game done. Kind of sums up where Cardiff
Yeah, and I think, you look at Lambert and you think to yourself, a lot of weight on his shoulders. Scores 2 Saturday in what was a poor performance, I'll be honest with you, I was there. But they got the result, and you think, okay, that created a bit of momentum. You can see, I would say, he's going to be tired and what have you. All right. Goes off last night, and like you say, just as he goes off, it seems like hope walks off with him. As, Derby are there for the taking. In my opinion, they're in turmoil. There's fighting in the camp. I mean, we can't say what it is, but most people would take a good guess at it. And you think to yourself, okay, we've won Saturday, perfect opportunity. Caretaker manager, their caretaker manager, Chris Powell, great lad, is going to be saying, they're going to think you're down on the floor, so go and give a bit of fight. You only need to roll over them for the first 20 minutes. The game should be done after that, because if you get the first goal...
Why was there no momentum? It's pretty inexplicable.
There is no
after that victory, like you say, albeit not the greatest performance, but at least they got that elusive win.
The problem for me, John, if we, leaving aside now the chief executive, the board of directors, the higher echelons of the club, and just focus on the manager and the team. I've said, listen, Charles could turn it around in the future and become Cardiff's greatest ever manager, but I can't see it. And the problem for me was, last season we sat here and said, or the fans would say, if we win a game, it's down to Paul Trollope. If we lose a game, it's down to Russell Slade. And I kept repeatedly saying, no, he's the coach. It's down to him and the manager, whether they win or whether they lose. And when they went from Slade to Trollope, to me, it was much of the same. The squad is much of the same. Yeah, 1 or 2 new additions. Some might argue not good enough. Some are good enough. Not enough youth in the team. Again, last night, young Kadeem Harris left on the bench. It's almost as if Paul Trollope doesn't want to admit that people like ourselves on Blakey's Bootroom and what Phil's writing, all saying, why isn't the kid starting? It's almost like we experienced last year, they do things like 6, 8, sometimes 10 weeks after we'd suggest them on the show, no? But it's like a reluctance to say, well, that's not my idea, so I won't do it now. But eventually, it will come back to bear, because they're a team with no confidence, not struggling with confidence, no confidence now, no confidence. I'll be surprised if they pick up a win in the next 3 or 4 games. And
it was just going to come straight back at you. And yet, it's not a squad that looks comfortable moving the ball around on the floor.
And that was the whole premise of the philosophy that Paul Trout was bringing. Was you could see in the first couple of games, they if you remember, there was a lot of passing at the back, a lot in the midfield, back. But you could see where they, like you said, Derby trying to gain their confidence within the game. You could see the passing game. You could see what he was trying to do in the first few games. But to go away from that so quickly, was it the right thing in the first place? Or have you got the right players to carry out what you're trying to do? Because when you're keeping the ball. Then when you break, they couldn't break with any sort of tempo, any sort of pace, to frighten teams. So teams were going, okay, yeah, have it there. If you're on your half or halfway line and you've got the ball, well, there's no threat in behind us, no one with any pace. So okay, we'll play you at your own game.
It's all a long way. You mentioned that Birmingham game, the first game of the season. They were good, weren't they? You could see what they were doing. But how have they regressed from there badly? Considering we know all the off-field problems.
Results.
Just confidence.
I think as well, not just necessarily the Birmingham game. I know that's a competitive game, but the last pre-season game they went down to Bournemouth against a full-strength Bournemouth side. It was a good game. It was an even game. Cardiff moved it around nicely. They weren't played off the park, but they couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And you still think you just go back to that open goal that Gunongbe misses, and since then just like nothing's gone right. And I think the players seem maybe not to have lost faith in that, but they don't have the confidence to pull it off in the way that they were at the start of the season. And they're more hesitant. The passes are slower. More often than not, they're stopping and going back or to the side. And
players aren't stupid. They watch back. They'll know that the system we're playing, we can't counter-attack. So, it's not them being defiant against the manager. It's just, as a footballer, you're told when to eat, when to sleep, what to train, how to train. Here's your boots, here's your train. But they can think for themselves, or we can think for ourselves, and the players would know. I've played in teams many a times where the captain on the Saturday has had to change something, and then the manager will have a row half time because he's changed it on the pitch. And the manager hasn't come from the manager, but then if you're getting trounced and you changed it, the manager always says, you had to change it, sort of thing. They will know, looking back and watching games and playing the games, we haven't got the players to be playing this system. And when you don't take your chances and things like that, which results in losing or drawing games, and confidence subsides a bit and a bit more, confidence is key, mate. You mess with anyone's confidence in any walk of life, and the job they're doing will suffer. We know that. I mean, that's just human nature. So that's what's happening at the moment.
Gets you down, doesn't it?
It is depressing. It is very depressing. It is very depressing.
That's probably why last night the reaction seemed so bad today, because there was that little glimmer at Rotherham.
Yeah.
That kind of made you think, all right, here we go now. And then it's just kind of back to where you were before, and that almost makes it twice as bad, doesn't it? And I'm sure the players feel that as well, and I'm sure the staff feel that as well. Almost like being punctured, isn't it? That, you have that little boost and you think, right, we kick on from here, and then you're sort of back to square one. And Burton's going to be a tough game on Saturday. I mean, they've been good this season.
They play the ball well.
The atmosphere, small ground, it'll be full, so the atmosphere will be good, I'm sure. That's going to be a really tough game for them, going in where they are now, especially if these injuries sort of don't heal. You look at it and you think, and if they could have got a result last night, it totally changes, because you can go to Burton and say, well, listen, obviously we want to win, but we don't have to chase it. And we can just stay in the game and scrap, and if we come away with a point, we all pat on the back and we go in the national break and then we start again. But now it's just a different
rock and a hard place now, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do? Do you go and attack a team who are playing with confidence in their own ground, a little tight stadium? Or do you sit back and think, right, let's just consolidate and make sure we don't concede? And what do you do?
I think probably knows he has to go for it to a degree. I think. But and this is the thing that Burton. The irony could be Burton play a 3-5-2 with really pacey wingers.
What we were trying to do.
Who could pick Cardiff off on the counter like that if Cardiff come and chase them, which I think was kind of the idea for Cardiff at the start of the season.
Well, what you'll see is it played with effect with Burton. The system 3-5-2, and you will see the importance of pace, if nothing else.
Yeah, we should just apologise for a couple of technical problems we've been having. Well, you've been to some of the things Blakey's been saying while we were up there. Unbelievable. We're back now, so that's sort of good news. There's plenty of comments anyway, so I'll run through some of them. I didn't want to do it while we were having some issues. One here from Joff Lee, who says the team play with little cohesion. They're very negative and unsure of their individual roles. On paper, we should have a reasonable mid-table team. However, we need a change in manager or we will fall through the trapdoor. Ronnie says, no pattern to play, players out of position, Paul Trollope not knowing what to do, throws on our centre-back and plays him as a striker, Trollope has to go.
Don't forget, the fans are begging for Troll.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
not all of them, but
getting a lot of credit.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And I said, listen, he's not my mate, as in I go drinking with him all that. He's an ex-teammate, but I just thought it was too much, especially what's going on upstairs. I thought it would be too much for Charles.
That's how it's living at the moment. So
I'd love him to prove me wrong and stick my face right in it. I'd actually take pleasure in it, but I don't think I'm right. I don't think I'm wrong, personally.
Yeah. Okay, Dylan says the players showed zero passion yesterday. Honestly think we will be lucky to stay up as things stand. Steve, how can this team be so toothless after last season? It's embarrassing. Trollope has to go now. Slightly different one from Wayne. If Trollope is sacked now, Cardiff will just go back to square one. He's doing a good job with the team he's got. No other manager would do any better. Stop booing the team, it doesn't help.
Was that from Steve?
Yeah, for Wayne, that is.
Wayne.
Get behind him, get behind the team, not against them.
Wayne, I understand what you mean, but at the end of the day, you need the team to create the atmosphere. Or, what you got to understand as well is the City fans have had it rough, even though you've got billions and billions of pounds. You've had it rough for the last 2 or 3 seasons. So they're not going to turn up all happy-go-lucky, and they can see what's going on around them, Wayne. So it's difficult to say, just go and sing and get behind the team and blah, 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 blah. What you're seeing is a reflection of the whole.
What they're seeing,
Yeah, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch. I keep maintaining. So, Wayne, start the singing, man. Even if you do it on your own. I understand what you're saying, but it is difficult for people who can clearly see the club is in a bit of turmoil.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, interestingly from Nigel, who says, so many problems at Cardiff, we could be here all week, indeed, we could. One question I've not seen asked is about the new performance director, Ryland Morgans, obviously with Wales, former Liverpool guy, really highly rated and thought of. But he says, however, all I've seen are poorer performances and commitment from most players here last season, a side who constantly fall apart in the second half of matches, and a stat that over half our goals conceded are in the final 15 minutes of games. What is Blakey's views on the level of performance and why this is happening?
I don't know why it's happening. Perhaps when you're marrying up the two, you're saying Cardiff and Wales. A few players have come over. Charles was brought in from the Welsh squad, if you like, including Ryland. And the difference is Ryland's not working with a Gareth Bale in the team. It's as simple as that. A player of his magnitude, and this is why people get all the money, get paid the big dollar, because a player of Gareth Bale's magnitude can cover such a vast array of, I'm not saying any problems in the Welsh camp, but okay, deficiencies then. Yeah, it can cover an array because he's the focal point. He's what you look at, is what you think, wow, closely followed for me by Mr. Ramsey, another great player. So having two players like that in a system which you've got other players who might not be Premier League stars, superstars, but they can play these positions like Gunter. Gunter can play the wing-back position probably better than most Premier League players I've seen play it. Yeah, so they all fit into the system. So what Ryland is doing is just part of that. Yeah, it all fits, the whole system fits. To think you can pull that person out and put him into Cardiff and have the same effect, it isn't going to be the case. It might be the case if you had players who were of similar dynamic to the Welsh squad, but you haven't. So doing the same here isn't like doing the same there. It's not going to have the same effect. That's just common sense, I would have thought. You have to find a different way. Why the players aren't responding, I don't know. Do they look sharp? It's difficult to say because you never really see them play at any sort of pace. You know, in the beginning they were trying to keep ball. Now I'm not sure what they're doing, to be honest with you. I don't know if they're trying to go long or early or keep ball or press it, or I don't know. So I wouldn't look at Ryland and say, oh, you're at fault for this, you're at fault for that. He's just simply working with a different group of players who aren't having the same effect in the same system they were trying to play. Same as Wales or similar to Wales with different players. So, you know, distance covered and all that, running, I think they probably fit enough. You probably say some teams can always be a bit fitter, especially if you're at the bottom of the league. But I wouldn't point the finger in any way, shape or form at what Ryland's doing. You know, that's the manager's brought him in and believes in what he does. You know, that's nothing to do with the football.
In terms of Trollope, Phil, the main man, I think it's fair to say public opinion, it clearly has switched against him. I don't think that's unfair to say. If you were to poll Cardiff City fans, I'm sure, you know, the majority would say it would be time for him to go. Last night, post-match press conference, anything different about him? You know, when you look into the guy's eyes, was there any sign of a man who knows that the end is near, that looked defeated?
It's always difficult to tell with post-match press conference, because if you looked at me in last night's post-match press conference, I would have probably looked pretty defeated as well. Yeah, and then here I am a day later, sunshine and roses, you know.
I thought you'd be excited about Big Sam going back to Sunderland, possibly.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that.
Don't open that kind of words, please.
But I think he did look defeated, but that was probably more to do with, I mean, you had a peak on Saturday where you thought, good late win. The adrenaline from snatching a game late on is always much higher, I think, than if you start off and win it.
But would you, if you were involved in Saturday's performance, would you be sat on the coach thinking, great win, boys? I'd be saying, good win, but we got work to do. Yeah, we could have easily lost that game. And for me, if we had been in that position, I would be saying we gave the game to Rotherham. We didn't win. They didn't win it. We gave it to them. That's my true, honest opinion. So when you're on the coach, when you're on the Sunday, you're reflecting over Saturday's game. What are you saying? Is it people just saying what you want to hear, or is it people saying to you, "Whoa, Charles, come down. That wasn't a great performance." Yeah, that was a get out of jail free card we've played there.
Well, yeah, surely they would know. They would know that.
Yeah, but you think you would think they would know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I've said before, people say, "Oh, Paul's a great coach," and I always say, listen, most people can coach. It's the same in the academy. Most of the people who they get from universities or graduates or whatever can coach. The difference is in football is getting into the mind. I'm telling you now. Because most footballers have been playing football since they were 5, 6 years old. Can you pass the ball? Yes. Left foot and right foot. Some yes, some no. Can you spot a pass? Yes. Can you ball control? Yes. Technically, you're a professional. Are you good technically? Yes. It's the mind, it's getting in, it's making those players believe that they're untouchable, that you can actually run through anything. But attached to that is getting the result. If you don't get the result, they're not going to believe in what you're trying to achieve. They start to doubt more and more and more and more and more, not just themselves, but you as a manager and a coaching staff and a setup and a club. Players will look for reasons why this ain't working. I put a lot of work in pre-season. We were told this was going to happen. Well, we started off, like you said, quite well. We looked promising. Where does this go wrong? So you have to get into the mind of the players. I'll say it till the day I die. For me, it's 80% mental. The technical, the physical, the fitness and all that is almost a given. But that's the 20%. The mind is massive.
And actually, to back that up, you just need to look at last night's opponents, Derby, who have an incredible squad of players, incredible technical players who could do anything you asked of them.
Great point, Phil.
Time and time again, they fall at the final hurdle, and that's clearly a mental issue. It's absolutely to do with their players.
Great point.
And I think that was the biggest thing for me, is that they allowed Derby to grow into themselves as players. And I don't know why there's so little dynamism off the ball, because that for me is the biggest issue with Cardiff. It's not on the ball.
Okay, it's not dynamic, is it?
But I don't know if they're not pressing and sitting deep and not doing a great deal off the ball. I don't know if that's a tactic.
Part of the plan or
whether they can't do it. Either way, it's a major concern, because it's at home and you've just got 7 or 8 players in your own half and you're letting Reading stroke the ball around. And you just say, what's that all about? It's very frustrating. And I don't know, you can't keep losing at home, because that's when all your fans are watching you. You can't keep doing it. You've got to give them something. And it's not really enough to go away and get the odd win away from home and then come back in front of your fans and not turn up.
When we're talking about football and things like that, you give examples, you always give them of the best, right? Now for me, it's Sir Alex, right? He'd probably be the first to say, not a great coach, but mentally, who's better? How many players has he got into mentally, psychologically, and made them believe and believe and believe and you talk of Fergie time and all these things, people start to believe it. We'll score in extra time. We will. It's what we do. Do you know what I mean? So I say, take your example from the best. Forget all, looking at how Barcelona play and looking how this team play and that. Look at your players and get in their mind psychologically. And you can't get in the mind in a group. It's when you go off, you take people off, you call people into your office, you walk around the pitch. You've got to get into their mind. You've got to make them believe in first what you're doing and yourself, and then make them believe that they are the best people to carry out what your wishes are. I'm telling you, mate, and right now, the players aren't weak mentally. I just don't think they're challenged mentally. I think they're just going through kind of almost what they used to say in football, you're waiting for something to happen. Len Ashurst. Don't wait for it to happen, son, you gotta make it happen. You gotta make it happen. They're waiting for someone else and say, well, you've seen the goals on Saturday, it was like, the players went mad, right? As you do when you score, but you felt it was a relief mad, not a belief mad. So you know what I'm saying? There's a big difference between the two. And mate, I know we're painting a glum picture, but like I always say, we can only report on what we see. We would love to be sat here going, they played some football last night. Wow, they were fantastic, Cardiff. Or they were very good, or should have seen their pressing, but you're looking, you can't pick out any good points at the moment. And then you're looking and thinking, well, you're not even giving yourself the best opportunity in most people's opinion. Because certain players who you think will play him in that system, they're not on the pitch. So you kind of left just scratching your head. That's where I'm at with it. It's like, It'll certainly be an interesting week or so if the Burton result
doesn't go as it should. I mean, what do you think will be in Vincent Tan's sort of mind now? Because they've gone down this route, haven't they?
That's a question.
That's a question.
He don't know.
Well, they've gone down the whole approach to the club has changed. It's all very frugal now. There's no money spent on anything. It's save, cut. So that's why Paul Trollope's got that job, really, isn't it?
Yeah, let's be honest.
A cheaper, safer option. They said they wanted sort of a young coach or whatever, where a lot of fans would have preferred an experienced,
You can have a young coach. My point about Charles is, I don't think he's strong enough to get in the minds of the players, and that's simply knowing him as a player. I don't know him like I say. I don't go to eat dinner with him and all that. But as a player, I played with him in Wales. He wasn't mentally then one of the players who would stand out front. You look at like a John Hartson, Bellas, Speedo, God rest him. They're players. Sparky, Kevin Ratcliffe, Neville Southall. They're all players who, Barry Horn, Dean Saunders. I'm serious. Chrissy Coleman. Six of us were part of Bobby Gould's some sort of council thing he had, War Council or something like that. But it was done because you had leadership qualities. You weren't intimidated no matter what atmosphere, where you went. We weren't being, I remember playing in Turkey. Mad, mental. Intimidated? No. But were there players intimidated? Most definitely. Most definitely. I won't name names, but most definitely. We need them type of people.
You mentioned Chris Coleman. Wayne here always takes the approach of kind of maybe sticking up for Trollope. Mentions Chris Coleman and says, what about his start with Wales? Obviously, it's a similar kind of thing. First half a dozen games or so, things couldn't have gone much worse. Now look at where they are now. Just saying it needs.
If you think Wayne, quite disappointed in that question because the situation with Chrissy Coleman, like I've said many times, was unprecedented. So I'm not even gonna give that an answer because they're chalk and cheese, and we know why. Simple.
Okay, good stuff. Burton then, as we approach the last 10 minutes, what sort of team are they?
Well, they've got experience at the back. Big Ben, it's had a good start for them.
There's a late winner coming somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's what Nigel Clough has gone in there this summer and he's gone, I know the championship, I've managed in the championship, what do I need for the championship? He's obviously knocked on whoever makes these decisions doors and they've gone it for him. He's looked at it and said, I need pace out wide. So Burton haven't got a lot of money, they've gone out and they've picked up Lloyd Dyer. 34.
Clever play.
34.
What can he do?
Nobody can touch him. He's rapid.
Still,
absolutely rapid. And that's never going to change.
I will.
Well,
trust me, I can second that. It does.
But, and then he's put big experience at the heart. I mean, to be fair, Cardiff have got a lot of experience at the heart of their defence as well. But really, I think they're a team that they'll try and play very counter-attacking. I think they've got Chris O'Grady up front, who's a
big Chris. Yeah,
he's been around. Not necessarily a big goal threat, but he'll hold the ball up and try and bring people in.
And he'll get goals. He will get his fair share. He's not prolific in it by any means, but he'll get goals.
I mean, ultimately, they're not flying out at the top of the table. I think they're, I don't know off the top of my head, lower.
Well, they started really well. They started really well.
Given their budget and what have you, that's a really tough game. That'll be, I think, a tough place to go for Cardiff where they are right now.
They'll be salivated at the knowledge that Cardiff coming in the form they're coming in, because they'll be thinking to themselves. They would have probably, identified teams that they thought, right, these are games that we've got to win at home, and I don't think Cardiff would have been one of them. However, now, Cardiff will be, someone who the whole crowd. But it's like a wounded animal. When you're down, you're wounded. People take advantage. That's football. That's football. They'll be not wanting to give Cardiff a sniff. Keep a clean sheet. The longer it goes on, play our stuff. We've got nothing to lose. We're expected to go down. one of the bookies' favourites. So hey,
Mm.
what we got to lose?
Indeed, obviously after Burton we got the international break, and just looking at the fixtures after that, we got Bristol City's the first
Massive game, derby match as well.
Home game, Bristol City.
I love a derby
Sheffield
match.
Wednesday. Then we all know what happened against Sheffield Wednesday towards the end of last.
so
They're a good team as well.
Nightmares.
Last season. Then you got your Forest and Wigan, teams who've done there. Newcastle at the start of November, but we'll leave that one for November.
So we get there.
I suppose the frustrating thing is that they're still yet to play many
At the top half
great
teams,
isn't it?
absolutely, yeah.
Which is
The worry.
the worry.
So I keep saying
There's some decent teams, aren't
we're a
there?
long way from bottoming out. I actually thought, we've never had the predictions for this season, but I actually thought we would finish bottom half, yeah, maybe 16th, 17th. We would flirt with relegation, but I thought next season was going to be a bigger problem with what's going on within the club. I thought next season would, but it seems to be coming forward.
Do you think this
faster.
will be more than a flirtation?
Mate, at the moment, you're going to have to go on some run to get out. The point is, you won Saturday, you jumped out of it. Everyone, whew. You lose Tuesday, boom, you're back in it. So you need to win 2 or 3 games when those around you have drawn or lost 2 or 3 games to really create the gap. So then, like I said last year, what happens is then you can lose 2 or 3 and not fall back in. You fall into a pack around 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. They just switch places. And then the bottom 4 or 5 are cut away a bit. Mm. But at the moment, we're going to be in danger of being in that cutaway group at the moment. Mm. So they need, listen, and the worry is, if your performance is good, you maintain a belief that your luck will change. But if your performances are poor, that is the worry for me, because your confidence in your performance, if your performance is poor and your confidence is low, they go hand in hand. If your performance is really good, it tells you you're confident. Okay, we've lost, but keep playing like that, boys. We'll run over a lot of teams. Well, it's not happening.
Not happening right now.
No, that's my worry, is the confidence and the performance level is slowly just coming down. Mm. Someone's going to have to do something special, or they're going to have to do something special as a team, as a management staff, over the next 4 or 5 games. Well, we've got a game before the international break, but then what you don't want to do is go into that international break with a defeat at Burton, because that gives players a lot of time to think about, oh no, you ain't got a game Tuesday to try and rectify it quickly. You've got a lot of time to think, and a lot of time to then point fingers, or look at this problem and look at that problem, and all. Oh, I didn't see that, and then someone else says, oh, what about this? And do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What about predictions then, Phil? Starting with you for the Burton game, and if they were to lose, what do you think? Do you think anything will happen in terms of the manager's position?
2-0 Burton. Hope they proved me wrong, but I struggle to see them getting anything out of that game after last night. In terms of the manager's situation, I guess it partially, as it always does with these things, depends on what's out there, what they feel they can afford, what they feel they can realistically bring in. I hope Paul gets a win, and I hope he gets a chance to get that international break, to get your Joe Bennett's and your Emma Hugheses and your Ricky Lamberts of this world up to speed and have a proper go at it after the international break. But it's difficult the day after a disappointing defeat like last night, because it's very difficult to be rational about it, isn't it? But it doesn't look good at the moment. Last night was a huge step back, and I fear for them a bit on Saturday.
There we go. Blakey.
1-0 win.
Is this going to turn into a 3-0 defeat by the time you finish the prediction?
I'm going to finish there, 1-0 win.
Yeah.
I say it every year and hope, don't I?
Well, yeah, let's keep the fingers crossed.
It's like wishing nil on one of your kids. It's just like, it's really difficult to do. Do you know what I mean? You just wouldn't do it, would you? You want to look at it without the rose-tinted goggles, but you know, I'll keep the rose-tinted specs on. I'll go 1-0 win.
Yeah. Okay. All right, chaps. We'll leave it there and keep our fingers crossed for Saturday. Remember, you can follow the game as always live with us here on Wales Online. There'll be plenty of news coming out of Cardiff before that with Paul Trollope's press conference on Friday. We'll see you then.